Though often overshadowed by other aspects of the Constitution, Article 6 contains 3 vital clauses establishing fundamental principles for America's constitutional system. These provisions address the continuity of national debts, the supremacy of federal law, and oath requirements for office holders and religious tests for office. It's critical to comprehend each clause as it was understood in the 18th century, and the framers' design of these provisions to correct weaknesses in the Articles of Confederation to establish an effective national government. The first clause of Article 6, the Debts Clause, is a promise to honor the nation's commitments. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This clause ensures that all debts incurred before the Constitution remain valid. Imagine a nation struggling under heavy debt. Foreign creditors, like those from France and the Netherlands, were anxious about being paid back. The Founding Fathers wanted to reassure them. This clause promised to honor those financial commitments and laid the groundwork for the United States' credibility on the global stage. This provision reflected the framers' practical understanding that a nation's credit depends on honoring its commitments. The second clause of Article 6, the Supremacy Clause, is perhaps the most consequential Article 6 provision. It established a hierarchy of law with the following provision. This Constitution, and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made, under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. This clause establishes that the Constitution is the highest law in the land. If state laws conflict with federal laws win. This provision resolved Articles of Confederation issues, where states often ignored national directives. Under the Articles of Confederation, several states had enacted laws that violated the Treaty of Peace with Great Britain. Britain used these violations as excuses to maintain troops in American territory. States erected trade barriers against each other, and conflicting state laws on national matters created confusion and inefficiency. In Federalist 44, James Madison emphasized that without this supremacy, national authority would be undermined. The framers understood that for a federal system to function, there must be a clear hierarchy of laws. The Supremacy Clause establishes this hierarchy with remarkable precision. First, the Constitution itself stands at the apex of American law. Second come federal laws, but only those made in pursuance of the Constitution. This qualification is critical. As Alexander Hamilton explained in Federalist No. 33, laws not authorized by the Constitution would not be the supreme law of the land, but a usurpation of power not granted by the Constitution. Third are treaties made under the authority of the United States, requiring presidential negotiation and ratification by 2/3 of the Senate. Fourth are state constitutions and laws, with state judges explicitly bound to follow federal law when conflict between state and federal law arise. The third clause of Article 6 contains 2 distinct but related provisions: the oath and no religious test. Clauses require government officials to support the Constitution while prohibiting religious tests for holding office, and reads as follows. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. The oath requirement played a crucial role in uniting the young nation. It united officials across states under a shared commitment, transforming individual states into one nation. In 1787, few Americans considered the United States a country. They thought of the 13 states as individual sovereign nations in a loose confederation. Requiring all officials, federal and state, swear an oath to support the Constitution created personal obligations that transcended state boundaries. This was revolutionary in 1787. In 1787, this was a significant step toward national unity, transforming a wobbly alliance into a real nation with shared principles. Today, we take for granted that government officials across the United States, from federal judges to local library board members, swear to support the Constitution. The No Religious Test Clause was equally radical. The Constitution went into operation before the First Amendment guarantee of religious freedom. Religious tests to hold office were common in both England and many states in 1787. Banning such tests for federal office also furthered the goal of national unity. Preventing religious discrimination in government service established an early principle of religious liberty in American governance and separated religious affiliation from qualification for public service. Article 6 remains a cornerstone of the American constitutional system, establishing fundamental principles that shape the relationship between federal and state authority, ensure governmental continuity, and protect religious freedom in public service. In summary, Article 6 establishes critical principles. The Debts Clause secures America's financial integrity. The Supremacy Clause clarifies the rule of law. The Oath and No Religious Test Clauses promote unity and protect individual freedoms. The enduring significance of Article 6 lies in the establishment of fundamental principles that still guide the American constitutional system more than 2 centuries after its adoption. Dive deeper into the Constitution and discover more about how it affects your life today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.